All right, so hear me out. I heard Haason Reddick was holding out. Put me in, coach. Jets! All right, training camp is underway. Practices officially start tomorrow. There's no way I could wear that helmet the entire time while trying to look at a camera. Boys and girls, if you have not done so already, make sure you get in on our ticket group buy. Jets Broncos, week 4 of the NFL season. Myself, 𝐂𝐿𝐼, and Green Bean. We only got a handful of tickets left, so if you want to get them now, you got to get them before they're gone. We are back Tuesdays, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock over on the Talking Jets channel. But let's hop into today's topic, and that is talking about Haason Reddick's holdout is officially started. This coming by way of Connor Hughes' most recent information that we saw. Let's see. We've got the Jets made Haason Reddick a contract offer before the trade from Philadelphia. It would have been a raise from his $14.5 million he's scheduled to make this season. Reddick declined the offer. The Jets said if he wanted more, $25 to $28 million is what he actually wants on an annual basis. They needed to see him perform first. In the meantime, the Jets would adjust his current deal, convert non-guaranteed money to guaranteed money, and incentives. Reddick told the Jets he was on board with this. He would show up for the offseason program, minicamp, and training camp. He'd perform well early season, leading to an in-season extension similar to John Franklin Myers in 2021. Reddick then skipped OTAs, minicamp, and training camp. The Jets are not willing to negotiate anything until he shows up. The Jets do not know when he plans on coming back. He will be fined for his absences. So, one, I don't really like this. It does suck that you trade for a player, he agrees to something, and then he has gone back on his word. Now, that being said, leverage is absolutely a little piece of this game. They didn't rework the contract. There's nothing sealed in ink. So Joe Douglas, maybe some people are feeling a little bit of a way about Joe Douglas. Why'd you trade for this guy if he was disgruntled in Philadelphia? Now he's disgruntled here, wants this massive contract. Is he actually going to play? Now, look, the main thing is he's got 1 year left on his contract. The Jets gave up a conditional 3rd-round pick in 2026. So this is a pick well into the future at this particular point in time. Now, do I want to re-sign Reddick on a big contract? I guess that's the first thing I want to say. First and foremost, I don't really want to see the Jets do that. I see a lot of our young players coming up for contracts, and I'd rather allocate that $25 to $28 million a year towards Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson. Like, push it into the young guys as opposed to someone who's 30 years old in Haason Reddick. Secondly, am I irritated that he's gone back on his deal? Look, he said that he would be willing to play for all these, the different off-season activities, training camp, mini camp, all that good stuff, and he's holding out. The leverage changed. The Jets traded John Franklin Myers during the draft. That opened up another edge position. So the Jets are in this kind of weird state of not having as much, in the arsenal as they once did. So Reddick's saying, "Hey, look, this changes the calculation a little bit. I'm able to try and leverage some of this to try and get the contract that I want." Now, will he follow through on it, and how long is it going to take him? He's getting fined $50,000 a day for missing mandatory training camp, which that's no small, that's not a little bit of money. That's a good amount of money, especially when you're getting paid $14.5 million this year and you're chipping away at that each day, as it goes on. That's a lot of money. So do I think he's going to hold out at training camp? I do think that's probably where this is headed. I don't know if the Jets are necessarily going to negotiate. We saw from Connor Hughes' tweet that they're not interested in negotiating until he shows up in practices. And honestly, if I'm the Jets, I've seen Haason Reddick's, historical stats. He's got 50 sacks in the last 4 years or something like that, 13 fumbles. Like, the guy gets to the ball, and he's a really good player, and the Jets want him on this team for that reason. It's the reason we traded for him. I still stand by the trade. And mainly because even though there's not a new contract in place that would require him to be here or do certain things, he's still in a contract year, and the collective bargaining agreement is going to fine him based on all these absences. And not to mention, it's very hard to miss out on games in the season. Is he actually going to miss games where he doesn't have guaranteed money, and then he's going to try and parlay that into a big contract after the season? That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. He's going to come in and he's going to end up playing It just might be closer to the beginning of the season, which I'll be honest, I don't really care. That just means way more reps for Will McDonald, our first-round pick from last year, which means he's going to get more and more and more practice. This is good. I want to see as much of him in the preseason as I possibly can. I want to know what this guy has in the tank just 1 year into his NFL career. Not to mention, with Haason Reddick, the Jets defense is so good. They obviously felt comfortable enough letting Bryce Huff leave and letting John Franklin Myers leave because they think they can have a good enough defensive line. No, I shouldn't say good enough, but the defensive line is a product of like Quinnen Williams and the scheme as opposed to any one individual part. So it feels like they think they can swap pieces in and out. I do think Haason Reddick is an upgrade from Bryce Huff, mainly because he can play all three downs. He's, crazy bendy off the edge, gets a lot of fumbles, where Huff crazy fast off the edge, but we were hoping Huff would turn into what Haason Reddick currently is. And in a 2-year window with Rodgers, this is when you need it. So am I frustrated? Sure, just a little bit. But if I'm the Jets, I'm playing hardball. I mean, look, it's not like we guaranteed all this money anyway. This contract, he's going to come in and play. I'm really not super concerned about this. Does it impact the locker room? I think it does, but in a positive way. The Jets are saying, look, you prove yourself here. We will pay you handsomely. That's something that they have, at least under Joe Douglas, seemingly started to trend in that direction. We are trying to take care of our own players. And that sends a signal for Garrett, for Breece, for Sauce, for Jermaine. When their contracts come up, it's not worth holding out because we will take care of you when the time is ready. And now ultimately, I don't think they're going to have to hold out because I think Joe Douglas is going to try and get those contracts done earlier. But either way, I don't really want to pay Haason Reddick a big-time contract. I'm more than happy using him as a mercenary for this year and getting as much as we can productivity-wise out of him and letting him walk. And then next year you have Jermaine Johnson and you have Will McDonald be your two bookend pass rushers, and then you'd have to either draft someone or bring in another free agent, whatever it is. I think you can find 75% of what Haason Reddick is for a lot cheaper than paying $28 million a year and not being able to re-sign Sauce or not being able to re-sign Garrett future down the line. So, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How are you feeling about Haason Reddick? What do you think about training camp in general? Do you have an issue when players hold out, especially in like a time period where, I shouldn't say a time period, but where the NFL teams, like, they kind of screw over players occasionally too, where they just cut them and, they're done and there's no guaranteed money. Is he looking out for himself? Let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a green heart if you made it all the way to the end of this video. I always love seeing it. I started doing that last video, and this has actually been kind of fun to see. So leave a green heart if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets. Jets!